Welcome to the Boneyard with Steve Robertson. As always, I am your good friend and host, Steve Robertson, back here on the Wednesday edition of the Yard. It's been a busy day here, and before we get too deep into reads, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about some sad news out of Hattiesburg, Mississippi. Former Mississippi State commitment, former Ole Miss player, and current Southern Miss cornerback MJ Daniels gunned down last night, just blocks away from M.M. Roberts Stadium there in Hattiesburg. The details are very sketchy at this point. It's a very difficult thing to understand, and one of the things that I guess that confuses me about life, in many respects, is understanding why young people die. It's true. That's the one thing. And of course, we don't know all the details. Not going to sit here and assign motive or anything like that. We just don't know what happened. But we know a young man lost his life. A young man that at one time was very coveted by your football program and your fan base. And there was talk about him transferring here from Ole Miss. And that was a very real thing for a while. And then he elected to stay at Ole Miss. But this is not about a rivalry. This is not about social commentary. The bottom line is this, is that a young man who was loved dearly by a lot of people is gone. And our thoughts and prayers go out to MJ Daniels, his family, and everybody that loved him, his teammates, those coaches. I can't even begin to imagine what Coach Will Hall is having to deal with today. What an absolute tragedy. And we want justice for this family. I think about so many young people over the years that we've covered that have passed away at a young age, and it's difficult. It truly is. I remember when Joe McKnight was gunned down in his hometown of New Orleans. Of course, Joe obviously was an NFL player at the time or just finishing up. It's a really sad thing. We've had some tragedy within our football family, our baseball family, our basketball programs over the years. And our hearts go out to all those involved at Southern Miss. Because, again, I can't begin to imagine Will Hall having to address that team. It's just heartbreaking to even consider that. Many of the guys obviously are back on campus now, involved in summer workouts, and then they find out today that one of their teammates was shot and killed. And again, we don't know the details or the circumstances, but the bottom line is this, is that he's gone far too soon. He certainly is. And I can't make sense of it all. When I saw David Turner's tweet, I retweeted it. But this has to stop. I don't have the answers. I wish I did. I'd probably do it more than just recording a podcast and covering Mississippi State for a living. But I'm eager to get the details behind this. The sum of the events is the same no matter the details. But it is very, very sad. MJ is a guy that I interviewed multiple times, had a chance to get to know him a little bit. And, everybody was excited to hear that he may be transferring here, And then we played Southern Miss. He had a good game against us. And my heart just goes out to everybody involved. And I know you all feel the same way. We've dealt with a lot of tragedy, and a lot of our rival fans and opposing fan bases have come and tried to provide us with some sort of mercy, right? Because at the end of the day, it's not even really about a ball game. It matters on game day. But when something like this happens, it certainly puts things in perspective. There's a mom out there that, will have an empty chair for Thanksgiving. Be a few less presents to buy for Christmas. And so I share this all the time, and this is a great example to do it again, a great opportunity to do it again. Tell those people you love that you love them. Forgive, forgive, forgive. There's just so much that happens in life, and you never know when somebody you know and love may no longer be with us, no matter the details or the circumstances. So tell people you love them. Don't let the opportunity pass. Or sometimes the ego gets involved, or there's a disagreement, and it's always so silly. One of the things that I've been a big proponent of over the years, and from a guy that works too much, so I feel like I'm speaking with a voice of experience here. The people that are going to matter most are those that gather around your bedside in your final moments. And those are the people that we should be sowing the seeds of our life into. It's not going to be your work friends. It's not. It's not going to be your internet friends. Oh, I'm sure they'll start a thread, or they'll have a couple of posts, and everybody will kind of say the same things because that's social convention. But the people whose lives will be most impacted by your absence will be the ones there with you, trying to provide you a bit of comfort in the end. And we're going to all sit there and say, I wish I would have told you more. I get emotional thinking about this. I do. I wish I would have told you more how much I loved you. I wish I would have told you how proud of you I am. We don't say it enough. We don't. And I remember when when Dana's mom got really sick, and we knew it was the end. We did. And Dana wrote her a letter that I didn't get to see until after Pat had passed away. And Pat wrote her a letter back and said, I wish I would have told you I loved you more through your life. It means a lot to us today. It really does. But the lesson that I learned from all of that is that I don't want to have to write these startling revelations in my final days to let people know that I love them. And I love all of you. I may not even know you, but I want good things to happen in your life, and I want you to be far away from tragedy and the pain and agony at times that exist in this world. It's unavoidable at times. But I think it would be disrespectful to M.J. Daniels and his family if we didn't all maybe learn a little bit of a lesson from this too. And it happens far too often. And we get so caught up in the hustle and bustle. But, it's interesting. My youngest son just got back from New York. Went up to the Governor's Ball music festival up there, paid his own way, didn't ask me for anything. Bought a plane ticket, rented an Airbnb, and him and a friend went up there, and they went to see Post Malone and all these bands that he loves. Many of them I don't even know who they are. But I told him, I said, I'm really proud of you for taking the initiative and financing your own way to go make some memories with your friend. Rather than just kind of sitting around and, waiting for something to happen, But I was eager for him to get back home. I wanted him to know how proud of him I was, but I said, hey, when you get back, I want to take you to dinner. And maybe we can get Mom to close the spa a little bit early. We'll all go together. Because I thought about that. What if something happened? And he's half the country away from me, and I couldn't get to him, Dana will tell you I worry too much, and she's probably right. But I also know this, that life is fleeting. And every one of us will face that end alone in many respects. And sadly, M.J. Daniels faced it far too soon. Let's thank our friends at Bulldog Burger Company, longtime sponsors of this show. Love Bulldog Burger Company. As I've told you guys before, I've been getting more to-go stuff from there, and I've been amazed. They pretty much perfected the to-go order during COVID. They wanted to continue to do business, obviously. And many of us were at home, and the thought of having to cook all the time was like, I don't know. I'd love to be able to go out, but I can't go out. And you can almost go out and go in, right? You can order the food, go by, pick it up on your way home, and it's going to be fresh when you get it home. It's great. But nothing replicates the Bulldog Burger experience. To be able to go in there and put your feet under their table and just let them take care of everything. That's the reason you go out, right? I want to go out and enjoy a nice meal and not be responsible, for cleanup or for preparation or anything. I can just go in there and say, hey guys, this is what I want. And I always leave there satisfied. I always leave there happier than when I went in because I know what to expect. I know the consistency that I'm going to get when I go to Bulldog Burger Company. 3 great locations: to Survey, University Drive in Stark Vegas, Gloucester Street there in Tupelo, Lake Harbor Drive in the Ridge and Flowwood area. Have the spring rolls as your appetizer. They'll make you and everybody around you better looking. It is the best appetizer in Starkville proper. And I'm prepared to test that too. It's true. And have a great restaurant quality hamburger. I told you I've kind of had a hankering for the smokehouse. I'm going to try to get in there probably either today or tomorrow. And we'll satisfy that craving. Find your own favorites at Bulldog Burger Company, the place where people go to meet, M-E-A-T. All right. Got some football stuff to talk about. Got a little basketball stuff to talk about. Got some baseball stuff to talk about. Let's start with the fact that we had 3 Mississippi State players. They were named All-American today. That's a big deal, man, to be an All-American. We got to update the graphic, man. Every year we should need to update multiple graphics on the outfield wall at Dudy Noble Field. That should be a prerequisite of every season. We want to have guys that get drafted early. We want to have guys that are named All-Americans. We want to have guys that get to the show. We want to have guys that get to Omaha. Guys that get to the tournament. We want to be able to, just every year. Let's just kind of just keep somebody on staff that has to do that for us, right? That's what we want. But Cal Stephen, Gerangelo, Sanchi, and Dakota Jordan all named All-American today. It's still a big deal. And I know there's a lot of people out there that are having All-American lists these days. But we used to have the Lichtenhouse and the Dunkel Index, and people claim NAFL championships off of that. Pretty crazy. Perfect Game names Gerangelo second team All-American. And then the National College Baseball Writers Association named Dakota and Gerangelo second-team All-Americans and Cal Stephen a third-team All-American. Pretty impressive stuff. And here's the thing, too, and I'll probably write something on this eventually. I got a lot going on today. But when you think about how this kind of news impacts the portal, right? It's important to understand. We talked so much about, Justin Parker, that last year when he got here, and this time last year we didn't have a pitching coach. We didn't. People forget that. But when you look at the comparison, the Justin Parker effect, let's just, we talked extensively this year about, Tyler Davis and Tyson Harding and those guys and just kind of the turnaround for them. But, let's look at last year's numbers for some of the headliners that returned this year. Guys, last year, Gerangelo was 3-5 with an 8.10 ERA. Lost his confidence, really did. There were some people that worried he may go get in the portal. This year, he turns that thing around and goes 8-2 with a 3.67 ERA. A lot of 11 home runs this year, 12 last year. So, really big turnaround. And it's like we almost take for granted because we're like, he always had the talent. We knew he'd be okay. But guys, I'll tell you, one of the most difficult things to do in coaching is to convince a guy that he is still good when he perhaps has forgotten. And down the stretch last year, Gerangelo, you could tell, was just really uncomfortable on the mound. And the swag with which that he played this year, pretty remarkable, man. Think about it. Every time you thought about, hey, we got a great 1-2 punch, we got a good chance to, to compete in every series. And we did. There wasn't a series out there you look at and say, you know what, hey, we just got killed by a better team, other until we got to Virginia, right? That's an important thing to understand. Now, looking at Cal Stephen, looking at his numbers from Purdue, and they were a very, very mediocre team in 2023. And I remember when we picked up Cal at a transfer portal, some people were like, well, I don't know about this. Well, now he's a first-team All-SEC and a third-team All-American. Maybe your coaching staff kind of knew what was going on, maybe a little bit better than you did. And there were a lot of people out there, of course, that, were rooting for a coaching change. And I'm happy you lost because that means Mississippi State won. We didn't win as much as we wanted to, but we did a much better job. We did. I'm not going to sit here and detail it all over again because I know I'm ready to move on, right? But, Cal Stephen last year was the winningest pitcher at Purdue. He went 7-4, but he had an ERA of 5.21. Now, he did a really good job of hits per inning. 76 innings pitched, allowed 72 hits. So he was less than a hit per. Gave up 15 tanks, and opponents were hitting 248 against him. Now, let's look at this year. This year's numbers. Cal Steven goes 8-3, so he's a game better, but the ERA is 3.28. And he works 96 innings and allows 76. We thought, hey, well, it's less than a hit per inning. That is a significant difference right there. So there's basically 20 innings out there where Cal didn't give up anything. 107 strikeouts against 21 walks. Opponents hit 213 against him. And so I share that because, it's incredible to think about the Justin Parker effect. And I feel like at some points, we talk about that and almost like we take it for granted. But the reality of it is that he took some guys that had some ability and he made them big-time players. Let's look at Dakota Jordan's numbers. Last year in 2023, he hit 307, which was second on the team, only behind Colton Ledbetter. He had 10 tanks, 40 RBI, a total of 47 hits. You look at this year, Dakota Jordan leads the team with a 354 average. Guys, he jumps 47 points in the average. 85 hits, which is a team high. 14 doubles, a team high. 20 tanks. So he doubles the home run production, nearly doubles the RPI production. And we got some people out there that are hung up on strikeouts. Hey, could he have been better? If you cut down on those strikeouts, everything else goes up exponentially, right? But I just share that because it's like, I don't understand this self-loathing segment of the fan base. We have a guy that's an All-American, a second-team All-SEC guy. And people are like, oh, he's just terrible. Is he? Is he? I don't think so. Familiarity breeds contempt. It's true. And there's no doubt about that. But Dakota Jordan put up some huge numbers for Mississippi State this year. Could he have been better? Yeah, you better believe it. But to sit here and suggest that perhaps he's not a good player, it looks kind of silly when he's an All-American. It's true. All right, kind of changing gears here a little bit. Mississippi State picked up another commitment out of the portal. I told you guys yesterday, I already had the story written, and you saw that if you saw us on social media. One of the things that we do is, as soon as I find out that there's a commitment coming, we go ahead and kind of get a bare bones story together because you never know when you're going to be able to get the kid on the phone. That doesn't matter if it's baseball, basketball, or football. And you may never get them on the phone, especially for a transfer. Now, we were very fortunate last year. We got every football transfer. We were able to we were the only ones to do it. But we got a football interview with every football transfer. And so we're really happy to do that. And so far, we're off to a good start on the baseball transfer thing, too. We got them all last year. But we picked up a big commitment, in my estimation. Sawyer Reeves. He was second on the Citadel team with a 304 batting average. Started 48 games, had 34 runs scored and 58 hits, 10 doubles, a triple, 5 tanks, 31 ribbies. And again, this is a team that just doesn't do a whole lot. He led them also in stolen bases, 10 of 11 attempts there. And so he is a guy that can run the bases. But what's interesting, too, about both of these guys that we've got, Garrick Fry and Sawyer Reeves, Garrick struck out, I think, 28 times and walked 27. So he's walking as often as he's striking out, for those of you strikeout counters. Sawyer Reeves struck out 22 times and walked 19. So you're adding two players that are basically walking as often as they're punching out. There's not a lot of swing and miss with these guys. And you got to feel like, hey, between our two of them, you had 20 tanks last year. If we get 20 out of them next year, it's going to be a great year. And it's so interesting. I read the commentary, too. I do. And some of it, I think to myself, I would rather just go watch Netflix than read some of these comments on Facebook. And I've said many times, and many of you have quoted me, I love all of you, but some of y'all make my head hurt. It's true. Well, I don't understand. Well, I won't go get some Power 5 guys. Well, there's a couple things that I would say about that. Number one, Carson Ligon and Cal Steven were both Power 5 guys last year. We were able to get those guys. We need to win a big marquee matchup. I'll agree with you there. But remember R.J. Yeager? What a great player he was. Nominated for the Ferris Award. Remember that? He's our best player. Came from Mercer. Colton Ledbetter. last year, our best player, came from Samford. And so my honest opinion is, I want to get the best baseball players available, period. I think we all agree with that. And there are a lot of people that don't follow a lot of baseball that have some very strong opinions. I would rather get the ascending player from the G5 than the reject from the Power 5. I know a lot of people say, well, he played at LSU, he's got to be great. Then why didn't LSU keeping him? That's my question. If he can't play at LSU, he can't play at Mississippi State. If he can't play at Tennessee, can't play at Mississippi State. You can say, but Steve, there was Chase Burns. That's an anomaly, right? You had some guys from Alabama that got out last year because of all the coaching brouhaha, all the issues with Coach Bo over there. Luke Holman, of course, picks LSU over Mississippi State, and it stung, and it did. And the truth of the matter is, had we been able to keep Nate Dahm healthy, you would have even forgotten Luke Holman's name because of the fact that Nate was just as good or better. It's true. You know where Nate Dahm came from? Do you remember that? You love Nate. Everybody was like, when we got Nate back in the mix, it's like, oh, now thank God. Yeah, Ball State. And, of course, some of our short-sighted fans say, well, we tried to make him a starter. We deserve what we get. Well, here's the problem with that, Cowboy, is that he was a starter at Ball State as well. He came here and just kind of pitched where we needed him. He started some, he relieved some, he closed some because Nate is that kind of dude. This coach, just give me the ball when you need me the most. When the game is on the line, I want the baseball. That's Nate Dahm. Now, back to some comments that I made yesterday. I want Mississippi State baseball to be feared, and I do. And you want it too. You may not know you want it, but you do. In order for people to fear us, like right now, okay, the college baseball media are like, hey, Mississippi State's off to a pretty good start here in the portal because they know some of these players a lot better than you do. A lot of people just look up and say, the Citadel, why are we taking a guy from the Citadel? Well, you look at the numbers and you begin to think, hey, this is one of the better guys on a bad team. And Tony Skoll was the coach there, a guy that played with Lamonis. So there's a connection there. And what you may not know about Sawyer Reeves is that he visited Mississippi State the Tuesday after we got back from Virginia. That's how important he was. We got him back. We got back on Monday. He was here on Tuesday. And of course, there's some people out there that'll tell you, well, Lamonis ain't really working the portal. But yet we got a guy back less than 24 hours after we get back from Charlottesville. We get him in. You think, well, with Lamonis' relationship with Tony Skoll and the fact that he was in the Hall of Fame at the Citadel, Sawyer Reeves knows him, this will be an easy thing, right? Now it takes us about 2 weeks because he took visits to South Carolina and to Kentucky. His brother transferred from the Citadel to South Carolina last year. They had a really good year for the Gamecocks. And Monty Lee, of course, a very beloved player, coach there, and didn't get the job. But they hire Paul Maneri, which, I don't know, whatever, But I share that because Sawyer Reeves is a guy that had multiple options within the Southeastern Conference. So it's not just us that held him in high regard or had a great evaluation of him. Had we let him go to South Carolina, some of our fans, well, how did we lose this guy when Lamonis is so closely connected to that program and that coaching staff? And Tony's moved on now. They had a mutual parting of the ways. But that would have been the criticism. If we hadn't got him, we're going to get criticized. And now we have him, we're getting criticized. And so it's like, basically, my attitude about that is this, is we're just going to report the news, and you can interpret it any way you want to. You have the right to be wrong in America, and many people exercise that right regularly. But Sawyer Reeves is a good get for Mississippi State. Is he a difference maker? I think it's too early to say that. I spoke to a Major League Baseball scout yesterday as we were kind of getting ready. I'm like, hey, I like this kid. Tell me what you see. What do you see as a scout? He goes, I like this kid a lot. He needs to get a little more explosive. And I will just about guarantee you when he gets in Shipman's strength and conditioning program, he'll look a lot different. He's already 6'3", 205 pounds? There's a lot to work with there. 10 more push-ups, 5 home runs turns into 10. It's important to understand. But yeah, we're going to have some visitors on campus here in the next week or so. We expect to have some more commitments in the next week or so. But yeah, this is it. And you guys are invested. I get it. I understand it. You want what's best for Mississippi State. And it's so funny. It's like I had somebody ask me, well, what about this guy from Indiana State that went to LSU? Did you know his name before he went to LSU? Well, I just want us to be on the big fish. Well, how did you know he was a big fish? What makes him a big fish? Just because LSU wanted him? Well, I'm just saying. Well, no, I'm just saying. Because if LSU had taken Sawyer Reeves and Garrick Fry, everybody would be like, there'd be blood in the Twitter streets, man. It's like, what? How did we not get these guys? And here's something else that I'll share with you too. Back to Garrick Fry. I love that guy, man. I do. And I tell you, if you were a believer in Jesus Christ, you're going to like Sawyer Reeves too. I mean, he is his faith is on his sleeve, man. It's who he is, more so than being a baseball player. But the whole thing with Garrick Fry, when he in North Alabama came to Mississippi State, a game that we almost canceled. We didn't cancel the game; we played the game, and then some well-meaning bulldog out in right field, who some people have been very critical of these people that feed the opposing team. I have never understood people that are against kindness. Why would we not do that? I mean, these people plan and prepare. They bring extra food because they want, like, hey, you guys be careful on the road back. We won the game. Here's a token of our appreciation for you guys showing up, playing hard. When I interviewed Garrick Fry, he mentioned that he was down the line talking with his dad after a ball game, and then somebody from the right field side comes up there and hands him an aluminum container full of steak and mashed potatoes to take with him back on the bus and share with some teammates. And he's like, you know what? I want to play for these fans. So for all of you that feed the other teams, you played an integral role in us landing our future third baseman. There's some other people out there that are going to make you feel bad about that. I'm going to tell you this. One of the best things about Mississippi State is our people. And when people go out of their way to plan and spend their own money to cook for a bunch of people, they got the right to give that food to whoever they want to. They do. It's so funny. People want, they declare their own rights. Well, I can say whatever I want to say, Steve. I can say whatever I want to say. And you're right, you can. And other people can do exactly what they want to do, too. And you're welcome to complain about it, but you look kind of silly right now. When you have a guy that had multiple SEC offers, chooses Mississippi State, and one of the factors that he mentions is our fans, how kind our fans were to he and his team when they came in here and played a game that they thought may get canceled, a meaningless game, and then our people show up and take care of them and treat them like one of their own, and now one of them is one of our own. It's tough, man. It's a tough scene for you bros, man. It is. It's true. You can say it for what it is. That's a recruit themselves coming out saying, hey, I didn't know they did this, and they did it. And I'm like, hey, I want to play for those fans. I can't wait to get out there and play in front of those fans. Best fans in college baseball, most of us. It's important to understand that. Every little thing like that matters. We have that reputation of they got the best baseball facility in the country, and not just Duty Noble Field. When you think about all the amenities that are available to baseball, it's true. And you got the great fans, and you got people that see you as a human being. I mean, we want to beat your tail. Don't get me wrong. We want a 10-run rule you and then send you home with some country pleasing sausage, maybe some dirty rice or something. We'll take care of you. We're going to beat you first. And ask people, well, when we lose, why are we feeding them? Well, so that's our kindness is predicated on winning a ball game? I don't know that our class should be defined by such. We're just going to be sore losers. No, you can't have any sausage. No. And I can't remember what game it was a few years ago. There was some opposing player in the regional. I think it was 21 regional. And he's out there with a sausage link in his hand in center field, and then a ball comes to center. And he catches it and then puts the sausage link in his mouth and then throws the ball back. Cool, man. Cool. I just believe, man, let's all love one another, right? And when we have an opportunity to show some kindness, and college baseball obviously is important to the majority of our fans, I just thought it'd be interesting for you guys to know that other people notice. In this day of the NCAA transfer portal, being a good person means even more, right? So again, it's a small thing, but it made a big impression on a guy that's now going to be a diamond dog. All right, time for today's top 10 list. As always, brought to you by closewithblair.com. That's C-L-O-S-E with Blair, B-L-A-I-R.com. Blair Chandler is my friend, your friend, our collective friend in the mortgage industry. We all need one of those. And my friend is better than probably your friend, right? Right? It's true. Blair's got 23 years of experience in the mortgage origination business. Nobody stays in any industry that long by accident. They keep asking him to come back because he keeps closing loans. And the reason that he keeps closing loans is he gives you guys exceptional service. We've had several Boneyard listeners that have closed loans with Blair. I'm going to encourage you to be the next. Whether you're looking to buy a game day condo and it could prove to be more affordable than you think, or perhaps you're just getting a start in life. Maybe you've got a life reset. Maybe it's a relationship change, a job change, and you know what? You got to find a new place. Or maybe you just want to get off the hamster wheel of renting, right? You want to be able to leave something for your family. Give Blair a text or call today at 601-500-2344. Again, 601-500-2344. 23 years of experience. He will be your advocate with underwriting. He has seen it all and done it all. You're not going to shock him. No matter what situation you're in, just get up with Blair. And listen, and if you're looking for a home, get pre-qualified first. Go ahead and get a mortgage lender like Blair Chandler at closewithblair.com. Get pre-qualified, and you want to talk about getting your real estate agent motivated when they know that you're pre-qualified. They're going to find you a house. Yeah, for sure. For sure. It's just human nature, right? I mean, am I going to go out here and spend 2 or 3 days a week out there chasing and looking at houses and stuff for somebody that can't get approved? Not when I got somebody in the passenger seat there that's got their letter from Close with Blair, said, "Hey, here's your pre-qualification letter. Let's go get a house, baby. Let's go get a house." It's that simple. All right, so we're changing gears a little bit here. We didn't do a music top 10 on Monday. We did 10 things, and it's not the only 10 things you're going to learn, but 10 things that I just jotted down and thinking, you know what? Hey, I even put it on Facebook too. 10 things that you probably don't know you're going to learn when you read the Dudy Noble book. The Dude. And again, you can go to dudynoblebook.com. It's that simple. I try to keep it as simple as I can. Everybody's like, well, the Dude is taken. Yeah, the Dude book is taken. Yeah, I figured as much. Let's go Dudy Noble book, because that's what you're going to know. Hey, what about that Dudy Noble book? Well, that's a website name, dudynoblebook.com. You can pre-order the books. They'll be around late August, early September. But you can go ahead and get on the list. Remove one thing from your things to do. It's true. But anyway, we're doing music today. And so back when Ani was playing in the Cotton States League, in the collegiate level league, when he would be home from wherever he was at the time, he started playing in the Cotton States League, in the collegiate league, right after his senior year of high school. And so we spent a lot of time driving up and down the road. And we were living in Baton Rouge at first. And then we would come from Baton Rouge and come up and camp or stay with friends. And we'd play Cotton States League on the weekends. And sometimes we'd make it back. Sometimes he would just stay. He had a friend named Matt Rapp up from Red Banks, Mississippi. And Jamie and Tammy are great people. And but nevertheless, we got to know them pretty well, and so they ended up being roommates in JUCO. But we would come up, and sometimes Ani would just stay with them, and they'd play ball all weekend for a couple weeks. But anyway, at the time, Ani was really getting into Yellow Wolf. He's a Slamerican, I guess you could say, if you're familiar with the jargon. But Next and Nothing, of course, was record label is part of that. Of course, Strange Music with Tech Nine. He loves all that stuff. And one of the guys that I really dig, and I still listen to, on those trips, he'd always pick the music, right? It was his car. He had to let him do it. But it was Ritz, R-I-T-T-Z. Of course, the Nabisco company probably wouldn't have been happy about him using their name, Ritz, with just the one T. But Ritz is your top 10 artists today. He's a rapper, and I'm going to tell you now, these are not songs to listen to in front of your children. Just telling you now. You're going to love the list. It's a lot different than what you're used to because my boy Ritz has good flow. The tracks are incredible, especially as we get into the top 5. But it's a little different. And so it's important to understand this is not a child-safe list. Okay? Number 10 is Basket Case. Again, it's about all the stress, relationship ending or whatever. And so he writes a song about that. It's a really good one. Number 9, Crown Royal. Like this one a lot too. Many of you have partaken in Crown Royal. You kind of get it. This is, I think it's The Life and Times of Jimmy Valiant. I think that's the album. All right, number 8. Ani thinks this should be in the top 5. I don't agree. It is really good though. It is really good, but it's number 8 for me. I took another song out called "I'm Only Human" to kind of placate him, but it's a track called "My Window." And the chorus is really cool. It's got a good flow to it. Number 7, Misery Loves Company. Not the Lil Nas version. It's a much different deal. Not Soul Asylum's Misery Incorporated. Not that. It's a good one though. And Misery Loves Company. It's true. One thing that I've learned about life. There's a lot of people out there that can't do. They don't want you to do either. And you know what I'm talking about, right? There's just so many people out there. It's like they are so content to be mediocre. They don't want you to try anything. Don't do that. That's going to be too big of a risk because they don't want you to go do because all of a sudden it indicts them for not doing. There's a lot of that in life. I've shared that with my children for years. And now that they're kind of getting out into the workforce, I hear that a lot from them. Like, Daddy, you were right about this. There's so many people here that really don't, they're not committed to their jobs. And I've wanted my children to be committed to whatever job they had. I don't care if it's cutting grass or waiting tables or whatever. You go out there and be the best you can possibly be and be an asset and a service to the company that is employing you. Because there's enough people out there that are going to give you a half-measured effort. It's true. You'll find that. There are more people that are content to be mediocre than there are to be great. And a lot of people are just pretty good and think they're great and don't take the steps to be great. They just hope that they can fool you. They want to help perpetuate the fraud, that, hey, you may be the best for around here, but that doesn't mean you're great. I mean, it's just kind of like you think about it. I mean, every small-town high school football team in the state of Mississippi's got a leading rusher, right? Leading receiver. Doesn't mean they're good enough to play in the SEC. There's a lot of that. There's a lot of that in life. It's true. Number 6, it's a collaboration with Mike Posner. And some of you guys know Mike. Mike's done a ton of stuff, a lot of features for the people. He's got 2 songs on this list with Ritz. And the first one's going to be In My Zone. Got a great female accompaniment vocal on this one too. And, Posner's just kind of got his own thing. You may know the song A Pill and Ibiza. Yeah, Posner's just a little different. But the collaboration with him and Ritz just works. It does. All right, number 5, another collaboration, also from the Next to Nothing album. It's Bounce featuring Twista. Great song. I like the track a lot. I think you will too. All right, number 4. And that's another Mike Posner collaboration, and it is my favorite Ritz Posner track, and it's Switch Lanes. Absolutely love this one. I've shared this song for years, man. It's just such a vibe. It's a great driving song. It's one of those songs, just kind of a chill type deal. Switch lanes. Great. But most of you need to stay in your lane. Number 3, one of these songs I listen to when I'm a little bit charged up. And I love it, man. Absolutely love this track. I've even joked with a friend of mine, if I ever take the stage again, like if it's a band and we come out, I might play this like before we take the stage. It's a song called Turn Down. Also off the Next to Nothing album, which may be the best one, to be quite honest with you. But Turn Down, try to turn up on me, I'm going to turn what down. It's basically a song of machismo, for sure. All right, number 2, I'm a big Breaking Bad fan. I think you guys are as well. Matter of fact, I'm probably going to start that series, Your Honor, with Bryan Cranston, just because I like Bryan Cranston. But I'll always see him as Walter White. I always will. And so the number 2 track is Walter White, Boy Flow 2. It's a collaboration, Walter White, Boy Flow 2. And basically, like he talks about, while you guys were all asleep, I was in the lab cooking up dope. Not talking about drugs specifically, but just talking about his rap game. Everybody else was asleep. I was hard at work in the lab trying to do some cool stuff. And Ritz does a lot of cool stuff. But number 1 for me, I like the remix version, and you can't find it on iTunes. You can find it on YouTube, and Yellow Wolf has a verse on this, and it's an expanded edition on the remix. But I love the original too. It's LAF, laugh, and that's an acronym for lame as you know what. Yeah, that's what it's about. Again, it's another song with some attitude, and it's. I absolutely love it. When you kind of feel in your oats, you kind of want some songs that match your mood. Ritz kind of delivers that for me. But I dig Ritz. Maybe you won't. But he is a guy that has carved out a really nice niche and kind of the first lieutenant in many respects of Yellow Wolf. They do a lot of work together. They tour together and things like that. But Ritz is a guy that's really committed. Let's just say that for sure. And his delivery is unlike a lot of people. Like you have all these mumble rappers and things out there today. I'm not really into that at all. But I do like Tech Nine, love Tech, and there's just absolutely so much with Tech Nine that is almost like alien quality, right? That all strange music family. But Ritz is part of that same thing too. And Ritz is a guy that's kind of a speed rapper at times. But I dig it. And I like the fact he's got so many collaborations with so many great artists, too, that kind of add some different flavor to it. But, again, this is not music to listen to with your children. This is not music to listen to on the way to church. Okay? I'm just telling you, that there is some lyrical content on this that some may find offensive. I'm not one of them because I understand art is art, and I think people ought to be able to say and do what they want as long as they're not hurting other people. And when you go listen to music, you're making a decision. It's not like the radio is turning this on and playing you in an unedited version and it's invading your space. You're making a decision to go listen to this, and I think you should have the ability to go make that decision in any way possible. You can see what you want to see, listen to what you want to listen to, write what you want to write. I agree with Uncle Luke. We won't be banned in the USA. It's true. It's true. And I wouldn't want somebody saying, hey, Steve, you can't write this. I wouldn't want to be censored. It's so funny, too. So many people think, well, I'm being censored. No, you're not. You're not. You don't know what that is. Just because, you get on Twitter and all of a sudden your post gets deleted because you say something incredibly offensive to other people. And you knew it when you posted it. And then all of a sudden they delete it. Look at Elon Musk. Elon Musk, I don't know what your feelings are about him, but Twitter's lasted a lot longer than people thought it would when he bought Twitter. And the things that we have learned about Twitter over the course of the last couple of years are pretty shameful, to be quite honest with you. Some things that have been made public shows that things weren't always even-handed. And that's the thing that I want in life, and I think we all do. Is like, hey, I just want to be treated the same as everybody else. I want the laws and the rules to apply to everybody. You don't pick and choose. We had some deals with that with Gene's page years ago. We had one moderator just, anytime that they disagree with somebody, they just delete them, try to get them banned, all the time. They'd go pick an argument with them just to inflame them, So we had to deal with that too. We didn't remove the posters, we moved the moderator. That's how life works. It's true. And that person still doesn't like me. And you know what? I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. It's true. I don't care. I really don't. Because I would make that decision 99 times out of 99. There is no 100th time where you're going to beat me in the argument. But nevertheless, I hope you enjoyed the list from Ritz. If you have ideas for the top 10 list, reach out, let us know. Best way to do that is to hit up Roy Samanti on Twitter. Roy is the keeper of the list and kind of keeps me straight on all this. You can find him on Twitter at Dogmatic67, DAWGMATIC 67. And you can find our great list under that same handle, Dogmatic67. 67 is his birth year. He's much, 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 much older than me. It's true. It's true. Now, Roy is my friend. I'm very appreciative of his contributions to the show. And the way that you all have been so kind to him over the years. Roy's my friend. And I appreciate that because I feel like if he's my friend, he's your friend too. He's a friend of the show. He's a friend of the Boneyard listener. So be sure to hit us up. We do have some pending things. Friday, I think we're going to go back and do a little dip in the 80s, but not the way you would expect. Our friend Melanie Moody had a great idea, so I may use that one on Friday. So we'll look forward to that. All right, next segment of the show brought to you by Campus Bookmart, a Starkvillian institution. Campus Bookmart has been serving this wonderful fan base for many, many years, and with good reason. We're awesome. It's true. We love the Bulldogs. We love the Rep brand. We love to have the opportunity to sport Mississippi State merchandise and let people know that we care. We do. We want the Bulldogs to be great. We're proud to be Bulldogs. So next time you're in town, go by and see their smiling faces because they're proud to be Bulldogs too. Bulldogs serving. Hey Bulldog fans, you know we love dogs. We do. I got a bunch of them. One of the things that you ask yourself, well, why are so many dogs suffering with health issues these days? Well, one of our favorites, actress Katherine Heigl, who's helped save over 16,000 dogs through her foundation, says she's seen more issues with dogs' joints, odors, and health than ever before. And after doing some research, she feels like there's one place we can look to support our dog's health: their food. So she decided to create something she could actually feel good about feeding her dogs. It's called Superfood Complete. Superfood Complete is made with over 30 of the healthiest ingredients on our planet, including several superfoods vital to our dog's health. Badlands Ranch also supports the Jason Dubas Heigl Foundation, which has helped rescue thousands of dogs and place them in loving homes. So I had the opportunity to try this out with my dogs. They have absolutely loved it. What's amazing to me, I've got 5 dogs and 3 live inside. But what's so crazy is like when I decided to kind of mix in some of the superfood with their regular food, right? To this, you want to make the big change there. After a couple of days of me working in this Superfood Complete, they would leave their food and come to the bag. They absolutely love it. I'm eager to see how it affects their performance and their health, but I can tell you this, my dogs absolutely love Superfood Complete. Go to badlandsranch.com/boneyard and order right now to get 50% off your regular priced order with a 90-day money-back guarantee. If you want your dog to experience all these incredible things, go to Badlands, that's BADLANDS, ranch.com/boneyard today. Hey, Bulldog fans, let's just be honest about it. Just go ahead and put it on the line. Mississippi State folks and boots just go together. That's why I'm so proud to partner with Tecovas Boots. In every pair of Tecovas boots, you can expect handmade quality, first wear comfort, and timeless Western style. A great pair of Western boots will elevate a casual look or add a refined flair that'll draw both eyes and compliments. Tecovas boots are always made from premium bovine and exotic leathers, and with occasional resoling, they will last a lifetime. The best way to shop for boots is at your local Tecovas store. I recently went into the one there in Riders, Arkansas. It is absolutely fabulous. You'll be greeted by the smell of fresh leather and a friendly smile. Come on in, grab a cold one, get fitted by a pro, and shop the latest styles. Tecovas offers custom branding, leather stamping. If you want to personalize your boots or all your fine leather goods, as spring makes its way into summer, stay cool in a short sleeve, moisture-wicking pearl snap, or make your own shade with one of their classic straw hats. New in both women's and men's styles. Visit Tecovas, that's TECOVAS.com. And don't go gently, y'all. Just don't do it. Bulldogs, whether you're outfitting your fan cave, decorating an office, need the license plate holder or frame for your car, or just picking up some new threads, Campus Bookmart is your one-stop shop for Mississippi State merchandise. It's true. If you can't make it to town, visit them on the World Wide Web. You'll be glad you did. Go to campusbookmart.net and use promo code BSR. That stands for Beautiful Steve Robertson. That gets you free shipping on all orders over $75. Any order less than 75 bones, absolutely incomplete. Yeah, there we go. All right, let's take a quick look at the football schedule. What I mean by that is, they've announced the tentative times, or at least the windows that we're going to be able to have, some football. And I don't know about you, I'm excited. I'm excited. I'm eager to get into camp. We didn't get a chance to see much of the team in the spring. Of course, the spring game was a lot of fun. The way they scored it made it a little more interesting in many respects, and that's kind of how Jeff Levy is. You can tell he's not maybe the traditional coach in that respect, that we're just going to go out here and just try to avoid not getting hurt, be kind of vanilla. We had a good time. You know, you guys are excited about your team, and you should be. And again, is it going to be a banner year? I'm not expecting, a Florida bowl game. But I think we go 7-5 this year, considering what we've lost. It's a good year. Anything above that's a bonus. And it's going to be a difficult schedule. It is. And we're going to take a look here and just kind of see, what you guys can kind of prepare for as we get into it. Maybe you missed it yesterday. We had an article on it. It was pretty much widespread, but maybe you missed it. So we're going to go over it today. All right, we're going to open up against Eastern Kentucky. That's August 31st. As I've told you guys, it's going to be before you know it. And it's just something about playing in August that kind of makes you kind of a little more eager, right? You think, well, ordinarily, Steve, it's the first weekend in September. Well, yeah, the way the calendar falls this year, August 31st. Now, it's going to be a 5 p.m. kick. So it's not going to be in the heat of the day, but you know how these Mississippi summers work. It's going to be sticky. You need to start hydrating now. It's going to be difficult. I'm sure there'll be a hot weather advisory then too. But Eastern Kentucky, I don't know what you know much about Eastern Kentucky football, but that should be a really good chance for us to kind of put some points on the board and get people excited. It's not going to tell us much about our team unless we don't play well. But the bottom line is, we're back at Davis Wade Stadium. We're opening up a Jeff Levy era. And I suspect that we're going to score a lot of points. That's how I feel. Maybe you see differently. The Colonels, not exactly world beaters, shall we say. They did have some fun last year, though. 5-6 is the final record. They gave Kentucky all they wanted and then some in week 2 in Lexington. You may recall that. Kentucky had to battle back, and a lot of narrow losses last year for them too. But 5-6, and just personnel-wise, they shouldn't be able to match up with us. Simple as that. But hey, I'm sure they were thinking, hey, we were just one play away from being bowl eligible last year. So probably feels like a good year. And again, a lot of narrow losses too. I mean, just kind of looking at this real quick here. They give Kentucky all they wanted. They lost by 3 to Western Carolina. They lost by 3 at Gardner-Webb. They lost by 3 to Austin Peay in overtime, and then lost by 3 to Central Arkansas. So you can begin to run the numbers there. They were competitive. They were. But again, State should be able to run roughshod over them, but they probably won't be intimidated. They'll probably come in here thinking, hey, we've been practicing all summer too. Okay, week 2 is going to take us to Tempe, Arizona, which I got to buy a plane ticket soon before they jack up all the rates. That's going to be a 9:30 Central start, which means it's going to be a long night for many of you. So here's what I would suggest. Mom, listen to me. Let the kids stay up late Friday night and everybody sleep in Saturday morning. We don't need to get up and go to Walmart, do all that stuff Friday night. Most of the Walmarts are still open late. They should be 24 hours. They're not. But COVID killed that, the convenience of that. But understood, everybody's going to want to stay up, and you're going to want them to go to church Sunday morning. So let everybody sleep in Saturday morning. We don't need to worry about our chores. If you're not going to be out there in Tempe, Arizona, we need you to be game day ready. Go ahead and make your plans now. We're just going to let everybody have kids come over. We'll stay up late. We'll drink hot chocolate. We'll let everybody eat, Twizzlers and have energy drinks, and then we'll sleep really late on Saturday. And for me, anything beyond 10 is really late. That's how I see it. Sleeping to 9 is not sleeping late. That's how I see it. Maybe you see it differently, but that's not how I see it. But, that's going to be a late night. And we went out there and played at Arizona, and we were kind of fatigued. And I'm so glad we don't have an SEC game the next week. We'll get Toledo coming in, the Rockets coming in. That's going to be under the lights at Davis Wade. Now, of course, time wouldn't have changed. I don't think. Maybe. I don't know. Let's just take a look. Why don't we? What if we had a device that gave us the information we seek? When is daylight savings time? 2024. Well, there you go. It runs March 10th to November 3rd. So we won't have changed times. So it'll probably be, 7:30, 8 o'clock before it gets dark. But the second half of that ball game will be under the light. It should be a little bit cooler for us. But in this neck of the woods, it's still T-shirt and shorts weather. But again, glad we don't have to worry about the hangover, deal with all that. With Arizona You remember that cost us the next week against LSU. We just kind of went through the motions. And then we open up SEC play. That's going to be an early start time. That's going to be 11 a.m. kick against Florida. And listen, I know it's tough. You got kids that are cheerleaders or in the band. Maybe you leave them at home. We're going to need everybody here with a cowbell. And I'm glad we get Florida early. They're a team that's really struggled under Billy Napier. They've got some talent. And I think maybe getting them early is good. But I wish it was a night game, so we'd have all day and have everybody there. We could have recruits there. It's going to be tough to get recruits there for first SEC game at 11 a.m. It just is. And that's one thing that always kind of stinks, honestly. These 11 a.m. kicks, they get on my nerves. The one thing I do like about it is we get the game over and we can get home and enjoy college football. Many of you spend the rest of the day out at the tailgate. That's always a cool thing, too. It's going to be a day game, early morning game. And maybe you get that game done. We watch whoever's on CBS that day or whatever the afternoon game is. I guess that's changed now. But the old CBS time slot. Now, we're going to head to Austin, Texas. And I know many of you are excited. We hadn't played down there in 30 years, over 30 years since we've been to Austin, Texas, and played Longhorns. We went down there and Sleepy Robinson, Jackie Sherrill, made it count. This Texas team is expected to be pretty good. That's going to be a mid-afternoon game currently slated between 2:30 and 3:30. So it kind of depends on how the team plays. Will we be the 3 p.m. game on the SEC network or will we be the marquee mid-afternoon matinee? Don't know yet. But that's going to be a fun one, right? And that's a lot of travel early in the schedule. In the month of September, I'll probably make the drive to Austin, but we're going to fly to Arizona State. So go ahead and start praying for your good friend and host now. I'm not a great flyer. I fly better when Dana's with me, to be honest with you, but that's just how it is. All right, the next week, I guess we get the bye week, which is nice considering all the travel we have in September. Because we're going to play, was it 5 straight weekends? Yeah, 5 straight weekends from August 31st, and then we'll get an open date, as they say. It's not a bye, it's an open date before we go to Georgia. So we'll be between the hedges on October 12th. Now, that game time could go anywhere from mid-afternoon to the evening. The only thing we know for sure, it's not going to be 11 a.m. kick. That's all we know. Could be an important game. If we're playing well, they're playing well. So they may push it to prime time. We'll see. But again, a lot of travel for the Bulldogs to some exotic locations this year. And it seems like, we went decades without playing Georgia about once every 10 years. And now it seems like we've had them, 5 of the last 7 years. That's how it feels. Like every time now that Georgia's really good, they want us to play them, right? And Georgia's always been pretty good. All right, Texas A&M will be here in Starkville, and again, that's the same thing. There's some flexibility. The only thing we know for sure, it's not going to be an 11 a.m. kick. It'll be, the afternoon game or in prime time. A lot of variables involved there that basically are about, hey, when these teams are playing well, when we can put eyeballs on them, we're going to do that. But State and A&M both were terrible last year when we went down there. Nobody wanted to see that game except for our fans. A lot of our fans, nor their fans, wanted to see it. And they won it and killed us with a third-team quarterback. Eager to see what A&M looks like this year. The Arkansas game will be an early kick, slated to go in the early window between 11 a.m. and noon. So, here's the thing, too, about that. I like night football in September and day football in November. And this is close to November because of the fact it's not nearly as cold. You can have a great day, come spend the weekend here in Starkville. Many of you have those game day condos as finance with Blair Chandler. But, I don't like to be cold, but I hate being hot even worse. Because when you're cold, you can always put on another layer of clothing or you can put another log on the fire. When you're hot, you're just hot. Period. But, I like games at night because it gives you guys a greater chance to get here and we can pack out the venue. But obviously that's a game that we expect to win. It's going to be an Arkansas staff that's playing for their jobs this year, coaching for their jobs. Homecoming is going to be November 2nd. That's going to be a 3:15 kick, which means it'll be on the SEC network opposite the big game that day. And that's going to be UMass coming back down. We played those guys a lot here as of late too. Maybe I say a lot. We've played them with great irregularity. And again, what if we had a device that would give us the information we seek? Oh, we do have a device. So let's just look it up here just because we can, just for conversation's sake, right? The Minutemen. I mean, obviously I wanted to play Marcus Camby and those guys for a national championship. But, yeah, we played them a couple times here back in 16 and 17, towards the end of the Dan Mullen era. We win those games, and if I remember correctly, J.T. Gray with a big pick six that kind of gave us a little separation. These games have been competitive. The first one, 34-23 winners in that one. Then we go to Foxborough and play them in Gillette and win that game 47-35 with that historically bad Bulldog defense. Thank you, Peter Sermon, for that memory. But we won. So UMass will look to make the third time the charm. I just don't think they're going to have the personnel to match up with us. And then we got to go to Knoxville. I know the way there. Been there a lot lately. Dana's last two nursing contracts were in Knoxville. We had a great time in Knoxville, to be honest with you. It is a great southern city. And that's the thing, too, with the job that I have. A lot of times, especially with football, you're hustling to get there, and you go check into your hotel. The next day, you got to figure out where to park and get your credential. And then it's like nonstop action. You're covering the game, and you got to do post-game, and then you got to hustle and get back to the hotel. So you don't really get a chance to get out and see these cities. But we were in Knoxville. Either she was home every week or I was up there. We spent a lot of time. You guys know I recorded the show up there. I had a great time in Knoxville. The people were great. The food was great. And so if you're thinking about going up and spending the night, and that chances are you should, because this is going to be a night game. And, of course, we'll be in standard time by then. So the sun will be going down, and, you're going to be a little bit farther east. And so as a result, it's going to get darker sooner. So go ahead and plan to pack the leather jackets, folks. Looking forward to that. Tennessee's supposed to have a good team this year, too. And it's been a long time since we've won in Neyland Stadium. Maybe you've forgotten. We've had a few good moments up there, but not very many. We've had some. And again, Tennessee, one of these teams that we just don't play very often. We won up there, Tennessee beat us up there in 19. That was a 20-10 game. And I remember walking off that field thinking, you know what, I don't know if Joe's going to make it. The picture that I took, the sullen look on his face as we were, walking off the field, I told Dave Murray, I said, when we end up having to fire him, use that picture. And we did. It was tough. But, back in 94, we had a pretty good run against them. That was in Starkville. Of course, there's the Tyler Russell game back in 2012. That great touchdown, kind of a toe tap for Malcolm Johnson there. But last time that we won in Knoxville, Don Smith was our quarterback. Rocky Felker was our coach. And again, that didn't just speak to futility, it just frequency. All right, Missouri. They will make the trip to Starkville. That's going to be November 23rd. Of course, that's the week before Thanksgiving. And this is going to be the afternoon game. Missouri's another team, too, we've had some success against. And since joining the league, they've been one of these teams that it's kind of been okay, I guess. They were good early on, and we kind of avoided them then. It's like Ole Miss had them when they were competing for the SEC East. We've kind of had them since then. But it's a 2-2 record all time between the two schools. But they've only joined the league, back in 14. And we played them in Columbia in 15 in the pouring down rain for a half. And if memory serves me correct, it was a Thursday night game. And it was a very subdued atmosphere. And that's just kind of how it is in the zoo, as they call it up there. But Dak and De'Runnya Wilson connect for a touchdown pass just before the half to give us some separation. We win that game 31-13. If memory serves me correct, it's the first game that Drew Lock started at Mizzou. I'm a Drew Lock fan. And then we get Mizzou, Will Rogers. One of his shining moments as the Mississippi State quarterback. We take care of Missouri 51-32. So in 4 meetings, we're 2-2, but both of the SEC meetings have gone the way of the Bulldogs. They won the first 2 back in 81 and 84. We played them in Jackson and in Como. So we'll look to break the tie there and get a winning record. And, of course, then the Egg Bowl is the Friday after Thanksgiving. And, again, not a huge fan of this. I know some other people are. I'm not, just because of the fact it's so difficult to get recruits there. And there's going to be a lot of recruits, obviously, that we're still chasing that are considering State and Ole Miss. And so you want them to be able to come to the ball game. And it's going to be tough to do that. It's going to be really tough to do that, especially if these teams are still playing. Obviously, a lot of teams will be eliminated by the, by the in-state playoffs by that time. It's true. But some of your better teams, especially those in other states that maybe run a week behind us, like Louisiana and Alabama, sometimes they're a week behind us, crowning champions. And so it just makes it a little more difficult. But that understood, it's better than an 11 a.m. kick. And a lot of people don't want to miss Thanksgiving with their families. And so I know many of you have turned, the Thanksgiving tailgate into a Thanksgiving event for you. So we'll see. We'll try this thing on for size. I don't know in my lifetime if we played this game on Friday. I'd have to go back and double check all that. I don't think we have. I think it's always either been Saturday or Thanksgiving. I believe that's correct in my 51 years. But I'd have to go back and double check. But we have played some games on different days. Back before TV was a thing, they just kind of figured it out and played the games. But, the Thanksgiving thing, that's the thing back in the Dudy Noble era. They played the Thanksgiving game, the rivalry game on Thanksgiving with great regularity. So it's not like it's a new thing that has kind of come to be since the TV contracts and ESPN and all that's been around. It's kind of been tradition. But this will be a new one. So we'll see how things go there. I like the schedule, the way that it lays out, but I'll tell you this. Everybody talks about Mississippi State, second most difficult schedule in the SEC. Well, it's always the case. It's either first, second, or third. We're never going to get an easy schedule in the SEC. And so everybody writes all these articles. Oh, it's so brutal. It's every year. And the only difference is we don't play everybody in the West anymore. You look on the schedule, there's no Alabama, there's no Auburn, there's no LSU. And so we get more teams from the East this go around. It'll be interesting to see how things kind of play loose there. But that's the thing we've always said. Hey, if we played an Eastern schedule, we'd be in Atlanta more often. Well, you're going to play a lot more Eastern teams this year. And so it just so happens it's some of the better ones. But going to be awfully interesting. And again, I feel like we're a bowl team. And I would love to be able to get through these first 4 weeks. Like if you get through these first 4 weeks, and you're 4-0, Katie barred the door. That's not a hot take there. But you'd say, but Steve, 4-0. It's certainly possible. Eastern Kentucky, we've already talked about them. They not a great team last year, competitive within their league, obviously, but not a great team. And I think every one of us is counting that as a W. Are we not? I think so. And then you go to Arizona State. They were pitiful last year. Absolutely pitiful. They went 3-9 last year, and just 2-6 at home. And you start breaking this thing down, and you say, Steve, maybe, when we first scheduled this game, everybody's like, wow, look at this. It's going to be great. But you look at these, the home games that they won. Only won 2. The first one was against Southern Utah by 3. Yeah, Southern Utah. And then they get Washington State 38-27. And that's it. And they had a lot of lopsided losses. This is a game right now you look at and say, you know what? Mississippi State should be able to win this game, even though it's a Power 5 opponent on the road. Going to be a lot of changes out there for the Sun Devils. I'm eager to get out there. I've been to Arizona, obviously. I've never been to Arizona State. I'm eager to see that campus. They say it's one of the most picturesque in the country. To be honest with you, I've seen enough cacti to last me a lifetime after all that time in New Mexico and Arizona. A lot of tumbleweeds out there, too. It's true. But, the scenery's supposed to be great. I'm looking forward to going. But that's a game you look at and say, you know what? They should probably win that one. You probably win that game, and you come home against Toledo that, they're a solid MAC team most years. Jason Candle obviously is an outstanding coach, so we can't just look at this and say, it's not going to work out. They went 11-3 last year. And you go back and look, they narrowly lost to Illinois 30-28. They were prepared. It's true. Now, looking at their schedule, obviously it's a little bit of a trip here, but they're going to play Duquesne's in week 1, and then UMass, and then us. So they'll have some chances to work out the kinks, but it's not like they play anybody that's going to really test them. before they get to Mississippi State. So that game may prove to be a little more competitive than you think. But I think it's one of those games, too, you look at and say, you know what, hey, pretty good scheduling by us in many respects. But we're going to have to play football. We're going to have to play football. And you look at this Florida team, and a lot of people wanted Billy Napier fired last year. There were some that wanted him fired in year one. Obviously, it's going to be a very expensive proposition. But I think that the Billy Napier experience has kind of worn out its welcome there in Gainesville. It's brutal, man. It is. And, it's not like the Florida fans are just being spoiled either. And don't get me wrong about that. Like, it'd be one thing if they were going, 10-2 and just missing the playoff, or, you know what I'm saying? Guys, they went 5-7 last year. 5-7. And it was kind of predicted in the preseason. Hey, that's how it's going to be. They had a losing record the year before at 6-7. So back-to-back losing years, Billy, you won't get a third one. Scott Strickland will find somebody to write that big check, and they'll get you out of there. And, hey, good deal for Billy Napier's agent and for Billy Napier. Life-changing money's on the way, pal. But it's going to be a painful year this year. And, again, that's week 4 for us. So let's look. And this is what I think is great, right? We're the first road game of the year for Florida. They get Miami in week 1. So right out of the gate, a Power 5 rivalry game. Well, then they get Samford. And then the next week to go to Gainesville, they open SEC play with Texas A&M. So 2 of their first 3 games are going to be against Power 5 opponents that are capable of beating them. So what mood are they going to be in by the time they get to Starkville, Mississippi? Again, first road game, they could be a 1-2 team. They could be a desperate team having to go on the road and then playing a Mississippi State team that could potentially be undefeated at the time. And all of a sudden, we got a lot of Jews thinking, hey, we got a chance to pick up our first SEC win right here. A lot of people are thinking we're a 6-6, 7-5 team. We may have 4 right out of the gate. And you begin to think about the exuberance and enthusiasm around this city and this program. Could you imagine taking a 4-0 team to Texas? Yeah, that's going to be a tough place to win. Because, again, you get out of the gate 4-0, and, again, that's assuming a win over Florida, which is far from a sure thing. But let's say, you're 3-3, right? Let's say you lose to Florida, lose to Texas, lose to Georgia. You're 3-3 at that point. You got A&M coming to town. That's a toss-up game. Arkansas's coming to town. It's a toss-up game. UMass coming in. You expect to win that one. That's 4. And you go to Tennessee, Missouri, really good team last year. So, yeah, we're going to have to hustle to get to 6. Ole Miss should be a good team this year, too. Jackson Dart obviously back. A lot of people think he's going to be an SEC Player of the Year type candidate, may even get some consideration for the Heisman Trophy. And so it's so important for us to play well out of the gate, because if you can get those first 4, you got 8 more games to get 2-3. And I think that's certainly possible. I think this Arkansas team is very, very vulnerable, especially coming up here. And you think about UMass. You get Arkansas and UMass, you're 6-6. You pick up somebody along the way, and when you have an explosive offense, there is always that possibility you're going to catch somebody just right on a schedule. And we'll get deeper into the schedule as we get closer to the season. But I'm excited to talk football, and we'll have camp this week. Tomorrow we'll be out there for the last prospect camp of June, if memory serves me correct. I got to check the schedule because I've been in baseball mode for a while. So we'll be out there tomorrow. And we'll have 7-on-7 on Friday. Now, Friday evening, if you're going to be in the greater Kosciuszko area, at 6 p.m., I'm going to have a book signing and kind of a speaking meet and greet thing at the Italic County Library. It's this Friday. I'll remind you guys on Friday morning. But if you're already making your plans and say, we didn't want to do anything big, you can still come out, talk with me. We'll have all the early books, all 6 of them. It's crazy to think about that. Book number 7 is now pretty much in the final stages, but everything through When the Bottom Falls. I'll even see if I can't find some Bloom's Oleander copies to bring with us. But all of that will be available for purchase there. You will be able to purchase at the event. If you already have books and they're signed or unsigned or need personalization, you feel free to bring them too. We're not going to turn you away on that. Obviously, we want you to come buy some books, but If you have books that you need to have personalization on, I'm more than happy to provide that for you. Again, there's no fee to come. You just come hang out, and we'll do a little bit of I'll speak a little bit. We'll do a Q&A session, and then we'll let you guys buy some books. And so, again, When the Bottom Falls. And it's so funny, too. Like, you get these memories on Facebook. I got one today, a year ago. It's funny how that works, So a year ago today, I won't give you the full update. It said Chapter 3 is in the editing process. Chapter 4 is awaiting the wife review, and Chapter 5 is nearly roughed out. So a year ago today, I was working on Chapter 5 of that book. And now that book obviously is on the shelves and has done extremely well considering the nature of the book. It's not a sports book, so a lot of my sports fans aren't going to buy it because it's not a sports book. The newest one, sure enough, is a sports book, obviously, and you can pre-order at dutynoblebook.com. We encourage you to do so, and so many of you guys have sent me a message and things like that and said, hey, Steve, I've ordered the book, looking forward to it. It's very nice for you to do that. But if you're going to be at the Italic County Library, I'm sure we'll talk some about the new book, but mainly it's just going to be about When the Bottom Falls and whatever questions you may have. So again, if you're in that neck of the woods, come out and join us Friday night, 6 p.m. at the Italic County Library down in Kosciuszko, down in the Whippet Nation. All right, final segment of the show brought to you by the Stark Vegas Clubhouse. Guys, here's the deal. If you're going to be coming to the Greater Triangle, Golden Triangle area, there's no better place to stay when you've got a large group than the Stark Vegas Clubhouse. You could just take the whole place and stay to yourself for all I care. It makes no difference to me. I'm sure they wouldn't mind either. Just 5 minutes away from the Mississippi State campus. And guys, here's the thing too. There's so much, you know how it is when you've got a large group and everybody's scattered across the city. Well, so-and-so's staying at this hotel and that hotel, and they got an Airbnb, and it's like you can't ever get everybody together to go to dinner. Keep everybody under one roof, whether it's a work crew, a family crew, a staycation. That's always a nice idea. Get all your college friends together, make it a couple's weekend, make it a girls' weekend, a guy's weekend. I don't know what your needs are, but I'll tell you this, the best place to find accommodations is Stark Vegas Clubhouse. 5 bedrooms, 2 bath, that great back porch area, full-service kitchen, wet bar, that great fire pit area too. There's just something about conversations around the fire that make them a little more meaningful. Don't know what it is about that, just kind of how it is. Well, you can do that, Stark Vegas Clubhouse. I only got one neighbor out there, so it's nice and peaceful and quiet. We'd like to keep it that way too, so we don't need you throwing a rager out there. You can have a good time and be mature about it. But very easy to find, just kind of tucked away, man. Just right there off 182. Very, very easy place to find and to fill your needs. But you're going to like not having a bunch of neighbors out there. It's the old renovated clubhouse, the old country club. Now, when you Google the Stark Vegas Clubhouse, and Google is your friend, their Facebook page is going to auto-populate. You can look through all the pictures and peruse all the fine amenities that are available to you there. In addition to that, too, some booking options are going to come up. VRBO, Airbnb, Evolve. Now, if you want to book through Airbnb or VRBO, I can't stop you, nor would I ever try. But if you want to save some money, book through the Evolve website. Use promo code BSR10. That saves you 10% off your stay. It's a cool thing. If it's free, it's me. That's how I feel about life. And so hopefully you feel the same way. And just by being a loyal Boneyard listener, we'll give you a chance to stay there at a reduced cost. Very, very, very great place to stay. Again, the Stark Vegas Clubhouse. Now, tomorrow we're going to talk about the visit weekend because you've got about 13, 14 visitors coming in this weekend. We're reaching out to guys, confirming that sort of stuff, just to kind of make sure that what we have is correct. And so I'll give you an expected guest list tomorrow. We've written some articles about it, but I like to hammer things down because things tend to change in recruiting. You guys may commit to a visit, then get an opportunity to go somewhere else, and that's kind of a hint and a half for you about how they feel about you. But so we'll do that. On Friday's show, we'll finish that up for you on Friday. So that's important to understand. Now tomorrow, I'm told it's probably 70 or 80 kids tomorrow. We've had some camps. We've had over 200. And they tell you 70 or 80, which usually ends up being about 100, 105. So it'd be a smaller group than we've seen the first couple of weeks. But I'm eager to get out there and kind of see who's there, right? Now, it's so interesting, too. There, if we discussed on the show, there's a lot of the guys that are name recruits. They're not going to come to camp because they're going to take official visits this time of year. Things have changed in that respect. And I wrote about that and kind of touched on that this morning in the Bones over Gene's page. If you're a subscriber, you can go read those. The original, the Bones. But all that I understood, we used to talk about, hey, the recruiting process has sped up so much, right? I was not a proponent of the December signing period. I didn't think actually having an early signing period provided a lot of benefit, but if we were going to do an early signing period, December didn't make a lot of sense to me because, most of December and the early part of January is dead, right? You close the process for the holidays and you've got the AFCA convention. And so it's really about 3 weeks. And so we changed the calendar basically to avoid 3 weeks of recruiting. If we wanted to make it meaningful, I said we should have done it, the first weekend in September or even October. And then everybody said, well, then the kids don't get the benefit of taking their official visits. That's a good point. It's true. So then they said, okay, we're going to do these official visits in June. And nobody really did a lot of them. There were a few. And then the NCAA decided, hey, we're not going to cap these guys at 5 official visits. So they can take some visits in the summer, they can take them in the season, or they can take them after the season. And so now you got a new coaching staff in that you got 4 commitments right now, and some of you guys are panicking about that. I am not, because I understand how the process works. But we're going to have some kids on commitment watch this weekend. So I think you're going to see the commitment list grow once these visits are over. Maybe some guys commit on the visits or shortly thereafter. And there are going to be some of those guys may not be names you really know that well. Because, inside the state of Mississippi, there's not a ton of defensive backs this year. And there's not a lot of defensive linemen. So you're going to have to go out of state. And you're going to get some guys that maybe you guys aren't quite as familiar with. The thing that I've always said about taking early commitments from guys out of state is really, in many respects, you're kind of shining a light on them and telling everybody, hey, here's a guy, here's a dude, he's committed to Mississippi State. So that area recruiter's like, well, maybe I didn't evaluate this guy properly. Let me throw an offer in his direction. So I'm curious to see, because when guys took those visits in January, more times than not, if they committed on the visit, the process was over. They weren't going to visit another weekend, right? And that's another thing you think about in December. For the guys that are playing in state championships, they can't go that first weekend of visits in December. And then if they get picked for the Mississippi-Alabama All-Star game, they can't go that weekend either. And I said January, I meant December. And so those guys didn't have an opportunity to go. But if they take the visit, say, to Mississippi State in June, and they commit, well, you got to hang on for 6 months. And the thing that I've always said is kind of like a relationship. If I got to beg you, to be in love with me, then it's not really a relationship. And so when guys commit, you want to take them at their word, but at the same time, too, it's like the Ronald Reagan philosophy. I want to trust but verify. You got to continue to recruit them. And there may be some bigger schools that say, hey, well, if this guy's good enough to be at Mississippi State, he's to be on our radar. And then they get a miss or two somewhere else. And then come December, they're bringing your commitment in for a visit. And then you don't get a rebuttal visit because you've already used it in June. So it's a different methodology and strategy. I'm eager to see how it all works. But, last year we had a ton of our in-state commitments, and give Ole Miss some credit. A ton of in-state commitments last year, really even before the spring evaluation period got rolling. Before the spring semester was over, we had many of the top players in the state of Mississippi already committed. That's not really the case this year, though there are some talented players, I guess you would say, that, it's just kind of part of the deal. And so we'll look at this together, okay? We'll look at the state rankings from Mississippi right now, kind of see where we are. And I don't think it's a great in-state class. I think there are some good players in this class. I don't think it's a great class, maybe like it was last year. I do think there are better headliners in this class. Obviously, Caleb Cunningham, really big-time player. You're going to have to work through the process. He is a consensus 5-star player, rated the number 3 receiver in the country, just down the road to Choctaw County. Auburn felt really good about him, and Florida hosted him. They felt really good about him. I still believe in the end he's going to be a Bulldog, but he has got to see it on the field. He's got to see us throw the football see how he fits. I do believe he wants to stay closer to home. We got to give him a reason to say yes. Now, Keelan Deere, I love him. I absolutely love his game. He's committed to Ole Miss, and early on, State kind of had his attention because of the fact that we offered him one of the first offers. I think his first offer came from Mississippi State. He's currently rated the number 1 running back in the country and the number 2 player in the state of Mississippi behind Caleb Cunningham. He's already committed, and I think he's going to stick with Ole Miss too. I really do. I think he's going to stick. We were on him, and he just simply liked the other guys more. Now, Deuce Knight, of course, had left the state. Now he's back, currently listed as the number 1 quarterback in the state. And I don't know that I agree. I love Deuce Knight. I do. He's committed to Notre Dame. But I think some of the ranking with him kind of goes along with who he's committed to. And I mean that nationally, not necessarily 247 Sports. Tyler Lockhart is easily the top defensive player in the state of Mississippi, currently committed to Auburn. I've talked to some people close to him in the last week. They say this thing is far from over as we expect. He is going to spend a ton of time on the Mississippi State campus between now and December. Mississippi State is still pursuing him with incredible vigor. You know, Fat Clark is here. His brother, TJ Lockhart, is here. So he's going to be here a lot, hanging out with your team, getting to know the players. I still expect him to be a Bulldog in the end. Camario Taylor, listed as the 5th best prospect in the state, now a consensus 4-star or a composite 4-star, as he should have been. And from the very beginning, I had people that I said, you're going to look at his offer sheet and say, hey, he's just committed to an in-state school and he's not going to get a good evaluation. Well, Camario could have just sat at home and just rode this thing out. But instead, he went out. Went to Elite 11, things like that, and really boosted his profile. I do like him better than Deuce Knight, and I will kind of be okay with him being a number 5 player in the state. But Camario is going to be a lot of fun. So this year, if you're coming to town for a Saturday game and you're going to spend Friday night, maybe you make arrangements to go watch Camario play there in Knoxville County. The number 6 player in the state, currently listed as a top offensive lineman in the state, is LSU commitment Tyler Miller. Now, he is expected to visit Mississippi State this weekend. I like this kid's game a lot. And I think that he is a guy, too, that committed to LSU early, but the process still kind of continues. I can't say that I expect him to flip at this point because it is LSU, but that is still something to watch. Tyshawn Willis, a guy that I absolutely love from the beginning. We got him a 4-star ranking. He deserves every bit of it. The number 7 player in the state, committed to Mississippi State. He plays the edge in high school. He'll be a backer, playing a 2-point stance on the next level. This is a guy that can really rush the passer, and he's down there at Velma Jackson. I don't expect any drama with him whatsoever. Mario Nash, currently listed as the top interior offensive lineman in the state. It's basically been a Florida State, Mississippi State battle. I know Ohio State offered him, but it wasn't the O-line coach that offered him. It was the running back coach. Right? And so that kind of feels more like a get-in-the-boat offer, but it kind of validates his talent, too. I don't think he goes that far from home. I have had my crystal ball picking on Mississippi State for a long time. He's had a great relationship with Cody Kennedy. Supposed to officially visit State, I believe, next weekend, not this weekend. And I'm told that he's not totally against a preseason commitment. But I do think right now it boils down to Florida State and Mississippi State. Ole Miss trying to get in there just a little bit. Hasn't really been a lot of traction there for them. Kevin Otis, listed as a top defensive lineman in the state. I think it's just a matter of time before he becomes a Bulldog. We haven't talked about him as much of late, but I got a tip here a few weeks ago that said, hey, Kevin Otis and David Turner are really, really close, and we really expect that to happen. So we do think he'll be a Bulldog. And then Jacoby Hobson, love his game too. Great linebacker. He's headed to Ole Miss. Not surprised by that. They took Janoris, his younger brother, from a Mississippi State receiver. So, hey, good recruiting by those guys, right? And so about half, a little over than half of the top 10 are already committed. Now, here's the thing. 7 of the top 10 are already committed. The 3 that are uncommitted, Caleb Cunningham, Mario Nash Jr., and Kevin Otis, I expect them to be Bulldogs when it's all said and done, which would give State half of the top 10, which would be a step in the right direction. Now, just outside the top 10, a guy that now we believe is a Mississippi State lean is wide receiver Anson Lewis, formerly of Columbia High School, now at Oak Grove. They're going to throw it around a little bit out there. And again, expect him to be a Bulldog. The number 12 player in the state is Cortez Thomas. Was on campus last weekend, helped lead Holmes County Central to a 7-on-7 championship. This is a Mississippi State kid in every way. Looks the part. They've got him listed as a safety. I think he's a guy that can play wherever you need him. And again, that's a guy expected to be a Mississippi State Bulldog. So that would give State 7 of the top 12 players in the state. And it's not a great year, but it's a really good year. There isn't the depth this year that I think that, maybe we were expecting. And, we've had some guys that were ranked high early on that have kind of begun to drop. But I would say once you get outside of the top 15, 16 players in the state, the drop-off is fairly significant. There have been some years that we'll have 24 guys that we feel very confident are SEC players. That's just not the case this year. And there may be some guys that sign with SEC teams that doesn't necessarily mean they're SEC talents. But I think, again, it's really good at the top. And then once you get outside the top 10, the talent level diminishes a little bit. But really beyond that, I don't think there are 20 SEC guys in the state this year. That's my feeling. And that's after watching tape extensively and having a chance to see some of these guys maybe in the back half in camp. I just haven't seen guys really elevate. But the guys that have been known commodities throughout this process, we feel really good about those guys. And I do think it's going to be a good recruiting class for State. And those that are panicking right now, let's encourage, just kind of wait. And I think this class will look completely different here in about 3 weeks. I think by the time you get to July 4th, you're going to thinking, okay, we've picked it up. And I think a lot of it was just Jeff Levy, because of the fact as soon as they got here, they had to immediately get to work putting together a staff, recruiting guys to not get in the portal, add guys from the portal, get your high school guys together. They went out and signed some of their own. They didn't just sign the guys they inherited. Bumpus did an amazing job last year, and everybody has seen that. And so I think this year it's like, hey, it was a whirlwind when we got here, but now we need to kind of work through our own evaluations. And there are some players that were offered by the previous staff that are no longer being recruited by the current staff. And you see that offer out there, and you'll probably have some kids commit to G5 schools, and they'll say, hey, he picked Memphis over Mississippi State. Well, kid had an offer from Mississippi State a year ago, That's just kind of how this thing works when you make a coaching change. But that's how we feel about it. We'll have more football recruiting stuff on Friday as we have the Thursday camp. And probably get together with you guys after we cover some of the 7-on-7 on Friday. So should be an afternoon show on Friday. And then, of course, I will hit the road to Kosciuszko for the event at the Itala County Library again at 6 p.m. this Friday. And you can buy books at the event. But my feelings won't be hurt if you have earlier books that you purchased. If you need them signed or personalized, bring them on. We will not turn you away. And we'll talk a little bit about the dude. We'll talk about when the bottom falls and whatever you want to talk about. But, it's an exciting time. Right now it's a busy time. And by the end of this month, of course, the dude will be shipped off to print. And then we'll just wait. We'll have a release date. We got a big event we're planning on campus. Duty Noble's family is going to come to town. All that stuff's very important. But, hey, let's be positive. Let's look forward to football season. We're starting again to get some football news, and football recruiting is really about to pick up. I really appreciate everybody that comes and joins us over at genespage.com, the Mississippi State affiliate for 247 Sports. And for all of you that have bought books or listened to the show or subscribed to the website, bought T-shirts over the years, whatever you've done, thank you so much for your support of me and my family. Until next time, let's all live our lives in a way we make more friends than enemies, and people can see a difference in the way we live.